Welcome, welcome. It's awesome, awesome. It's Sarah Fuentes, and today we're going to practice our 1-2 steps, solving two-step equations. Welcome to Math Mini Lessons.
In our last lesson, we did tons of practice with one-step equations, and today we're going to work on solving two-step equations, figuring out what the proper solution would be. In this case, we have negative 16x plus 8 is equal to negative 4. How do I know there are two steps? Because look really carefully. There are two operations. First one is really easy to see. It's right here. It's adding. The second one is a little trickier. Is that multiplication hiding between our coefficients and our variable, but it is there, and that counts as 1-2 operations, meaning we need to do two inverse steps to solve this problem. We're going to do the opposite of order of operations. So normally we would start with parentheses, exponents, then multiply and divide. In this case, watch how I start with the addition, dealing with this part first, adding 8. And then dealing with our multiplying to get to the right answer. Spoiler, there are a lot of steps for this problem, so I am going to start on the left side of the screen and then I'm going to move to the right side of the screen. So let's start by just rewriting the problem. Negative 16x plus 8 equals negative 4. Our goal is to get this guy alone. However, he's attached to a coefficient, so I can't do anything about him yet. We're going to start off with this constant and just destroying it. We're going to use this opposite. In this case, we have plus 8, so think back. The opposite of adding 8 would be to subtract 8. So we want to have a zero pair. And whatever we do to one side, we're going to do to the other side. And that's going to leave us with negative 12 on our right. And it's going to leave us with negative 16x on the left. Just taking a step back to just highlight, notice how there's going to be symmetry in the problem, how you're going to see the same operation happening to both sets. So here we subtracted 8 on both sides, and whatever we do from this part, we're going to also do it to both sides. So think through, what operation do we see here? We have negative 16 times a number. So what would be the opposite of multiplying by negative 16? The opposite would be dividing by negative 16. And when we do that, negative 16 divided by negative 16, they will also cancel out. Why? Because a number divided by itself is just 1. And that's going to leave us with just 1x. And again, whatever we do to one side, we have to do to the other. So we divide by negative 16. We're going to do the same thing here. Dividing by negative 16. So I'm going to rewrite this complex fraction because it looks really, really messy. Let's write it in a standard form. Negative 12 divided by negative, I'm going to put a parentheses here, 16. I'm deciding on the parentheses because I don't like two operation signs next to each other. It can be very confusing to people, and I want to eliminate ambiguity. So putting a parentheses around my negative 16 will allow us to see it as just one term. Okay, so pause here for a second and just think about what we have. And like I said, I knew this was going to be a lot of steps, so let's move it up. I'm going to rewrite it up here. So x is equal to negative 12 divided by negative 16. Taking it back to 7th grade, how do we divide by a fraction? A number divided by a fraction, we are going to change flip. We're going to multiply by its reciprocal. So I'm going to keep this 12. Let's turn it into 12 over 1, just so that it looks like a fraction divided by a fraction. And we're going to keep the negative 12 over 1. Change division to multiplication. And negative 16 becomes 6 over 1. And now we can just multiply straight across. Negative 12 times negative 6 is just going to give us positive 72. A lot of steps, just like I said. And we have a simple term on each side. X is equal to 72. Let's make that 7 really look like a 7. Okay, that was a ton of work. Let's actually check to make sure that this is true. I'm going to put a smaller pen just for space. And we're going to, again, write the original equation, but we're going to substitute 72 for x. So negative 1/6 times 72. Let's put 72 over 1 just to make it easier to multiply. Plus 8 is equal to negative 4. Tons of work here. Thanks for pushing through on this. And now we can simplify the expression on the left using our order of operations. So which one do we do when we have all numbers? We are going to do the multiplication first. All right, so we're going to do this section here. Negative 1 times 72 is equal to negative 72. 6 times 1 is 6. Plus 8 is equal to negative 4. Negative 72 over 6, we can simplify that even more. Negative 72 divided by 6 is actually going to give us negative 12. So negative 12 plus 8 is equal to negative 4. And now, just one final step, piece at a time. Negative 4 plus 8 is equal to negative 4. So negative 4 is equal to negative 4. We do have a valid solution. Whew, that was a lot of steps to Math Marvels, but we were able to come through. Big takeaways for this part, just noticing that as we're working through a problem that has multiple operations, you're going to first do the inverse. We want to create a zero pair with the constant. So we have plus 8 or minus 4, whatever it is, we want to deal with that part first. Then we're going to do the inverse of whatever second operation we have, especially if it's connected to our variable. So if something is times our variable or if it's dividing by our variable, we'll do that second part. And just take it step by step. You've done all these conventions before. A lot of these problems are long and require tons of stamina, but just take your time and do it one piece at a time. You have got this. It just takes practice and confidence. And I believe in you. Take care. Let's jot this down into our notes, and I will see you guys at our next lesson. Later.